Afternoon, guys. We will start with a broadcast section with no embargo, followed by an embargoed section for 10:30 tonight. No live tweeting in the broadcast section and use the microphone provided. Jamie.
Thank you, Anthony. Good afternoon, Ange. If I could just start with the availability question, any of the names who a week ago were a week or so away, are any of them available for tomorrow night? And I think also for Spurs fans, the name they're stressing over is Mickey van der Ven.
All right, I'll try and sort of summarise the whole thing. In terms of availability from last week, everyone's fine. Everyone got through okay, so no issues there. In terms of that squad, obviously Kevin and Matias are both available. They've trained and cleared to play, so they're all good. The rest of them, no one available for tomorrow. With Mickey and Romero to a certain extent, where I kind of feel like we've just got to be a bit more conservative with him. Mickey got through the game all right, but I don't think he feels he's ready for that sort of step up to Premier League, the intensity of it. Same with Romero, and look, after losing, we know we've lost Radu now, which is really disappointing for him and for us for the rest of the season. I guess my view, and I kind of made the decision, I'm not going to risk these guys, so we're going to keep them ticking over at training and try and make sure they're absolutely ready without any more setbacks. And the other guys are inching closer as well, but similar sort of mindset with them.
Yeah. Given that Mickey won't be playing tomorrow night, then, given the amount of minutes that Archie and Ben have played as well, will Kevin Danso be thrown straight in tomorrow night? Is he ready?
Look, he'll play. Yeah, I mean, whether he starts or not, we'll have a look because we've got another game 3 days later. I mean, that's been our existence for quite a while now. And you're right. Benny and Archie, and I think Pedro's played every minute of football we've had for the last 3 months. So, but the boys are handling it okay. Performances are still stacking up. So, it's great to get Kevin in. He's ready to play. Whether he starts or he'll come on, we'll make a decision. But obviously, really important that he's part of it now because, like I said, losing Radu was a massive blow for us. So, having him available is good.
First chance we've had to speak to you since Matias Tell's signing. Initially, the suggestion was he didn't want to join Spurs. Then it took a phone call from you to persuade him. So just talk to us about your powers of persuasion.
Yeah, I think that's a simplistic way to look at it. I mean, I think people need to sort of understand. You're talking about, a 19-year-old player who's got to make a major decision about his career. And it's not so much that he rejected us or rejected anyone else. I think, rightly so, he was getting as much information as possible. And I think more than anything, he just wanted to be comfortable with the decision. I think he didn't feel, the sense I get was he didn't want to be sort of pushed into a certain direction. And I think it's credit to him that he didn't, he took his time. He wanted to talk to all the right people. I had a conversation with him, and I guess mine was purely around the football. That I think he'll find a really great place for him here in terms of where he is in his career. He obviously wants to play. We've already shown that. Irrespective of age, you'll get an opportunity here, and I think the way we play would suit him, and certainly with what we have, in the next few months, and then more importantly, what we're building beyond, I thought he would be a perfect fit for his next step. But at the same time, I think it's right that he took as long as he did, and he was totally comfortable with it.
You have said in the past on a number of occasions you only want players here who really want to be at Tottenham Hotspur. So are you 100% convinced that he is sold on this?
100%, yeah, more than 100%. Because, like I said, because he took so much time and was so diligent about finding out everything, when he made the decision that it's us, and he obviously had options, that sort of gave me even more sort of confidence that we're getting the right kind of mentality, the right kind of play. He's very ambitious. He really, he's got a great deal of self-belief and self-confidence. He feels like he can, reach the very top of the game, and he's chosen us, which is, I think, a great vindication for what we're doing.
Just one final one from me. You'll be fully aware, of course, of just how heavy it weighs on the shoulders of Spurs fans, how long the trophy drought has been, and those fans who go to Anfield tomorrow night. Those fans who are at Anfield tomorrow night will be understandably on edge, nervous, and that can translate to the players. I suppose the question is, how do you get the players to play the game rather than the occasion tomorrow night?
You got to do both. I mean, it's a big occasion for everyone. It's a big occasion for the players, a big occasion for the club. It's a semi-final. I think irrespective, I don't think Liverpool would be any less anxious than us about the fixture. When you're in a semi-final, particularly a second leg, and it's still very tight, it's a big game for both clubs. So you recognise that, you embrace that, but ultimately, if you want to be successful, these are the games you want to be involved in. So there's no point sort of having any trepidation about it, because the alternative is you'll be watching two other teams play on the TV and you're sitting at home on the couch and wishing you were there. So we're going to be there. We've got a chance, and we'll go for it.
Hi Ange, I think you'd be very happy with the transfer window you just had, but last time I saw you sort of mentioned that maybe you would have liked to have another defender. Do you feel maybe a little bit short in that area, and that's probably maybe the one thing?
Yeah, well, no, I don't think so. To a certain extent, I think, obviously, like I said, losing Rado was a massive blow, because he's been really good for us through a difficult time. He's played every game. He's still only 22 as a centre back, and I thought and us getting Kevin in would have been a great solution for us, because with him and sort of Radu and Ben, and with the other guys coming back, but obviously losing Radu, kind of, then puts you in a position, well, do we sign somebody else? Knowing that we still have got, some significant ins to come over the next few weeks, including Destiny, Romero, Mickey, all these guys. Again, it had to be the right fit, and I didn't think there was a right fit out there for us, to be honest. So I think bringing in 3 players in January is probably the maximum you need to do. And I think if it wasn't for our sort of injury situation, it may have been one less than that. But I think to do 3, and I think all 3 I'm really happy with in terms of the kind of players they are, the kind of people they are, the fit they have with our football. I think it's been a positive window.
And in the last few weeks, there's been a lot of talk about maybe, you trying to bring everything together, bring the fans, the club, everyone together as sort of, a unifying force. Do you feel like this transfer window maybe shows that, inside this building, that everyone's unified and they're behind you and giving you what you need really to get through this difficult period?
Oh, no, I think I've said that before. I haven't felt that it hasn't been. I felt, like I said, I feel all along that everyone within the football club is certainly very supportive of what we're doing and what we're trying to achieve and sort of direction we're on. So that hasn't changed. Look, it wasn't an easy window for us, but I think it was an easy window for anyone. I don't think any club sort of, well, maybe a couple have come out thinking, okay, we've got everything we wanted done, but there'd be a lot of clubs who, because it was tricky. I mentioned at the start of it, Europe's complicated it with the new European format. There's all sorts of challenges. A lot of us were looking for similar types of players, in the market for attacking players or centre backs. So it was a tricky market. Ideally, we would want to bring somebody in earlier, but we got what we needed to get done, and now that gives us sort of a platform to push on.
I know Tony was a long-term target, but can you sort of reassure us that these signings, the 2 that you brought in, are not just for now because you're sort of reactive, but they're actually sort of players you'd want longer term and that can, be perfect?
I don't think we'd be signing 21-year-olds and 19-year-olds reactively. I mean, just by their nature, you'd suggest, well, if it was reactively, I'd be signing 35-year-olds. So I think the nature of the players we've signed shows that they're not just about now, they're about us continually to build. I certainly see Tony, Matias and Kevin as very much part of our short-term, medium and long-term sort of strategy here for sure. They're all really good fits for what we're doing.
Hi Ange, how are you?
I'm good, mate.
You mentioned there about ideally you'd like to have brought the players in earlier. Is there a frustration with you that you went the whole month and struggled through the whole month needing players, and you got them in right at the end when maybe these could have been done a little bit earlier like Kinski was?
But they couldn't be. That's the thing. Like, you can sit here and, that wouldn't be me saying that, the club actually didn't really care about our situation and just sort of twiddled their thumbs till the 29th and then went for it. I mean, I know how hard people were working. I don't think people actively working against me to get what I want done. So no, I wasn't frustrated. As I said, ideally we all wanted things to happen earlier, but like a lot of clubs, it was a tricky window, it was a difficult window. January is generally, but this one even more so. All you can ask of people, whether they're players, staff or people I work alongside or with, is that they're doing everything in their power to to achieve an outcome. And if they're doing that, well, there's no point getting frustrated. You just got to have faith and trust that we'll get the thing done.
Last season, when you went out the League Cup early to Fulham and then the FA Cup early as well, you were, I'm not going to say bemoaning, but you wished you had more fixtures. Now you've played in every single game you could possibly have played in this season, bar the qualifying round coming up in the Europa League. Are you playing too many fixtures?
I wasn't. Geez, it's amazing. I sit here and I talk, and I sometimes wonder whether my words, when they leave my mouth and hit somebody else's ears, whether there's a correlation there. Because obviously, I didn't bemoan anything. I didn't. We wanted more games last year because we weren't in Europe. I mean, there's a big piece missing in your question there. It wasn't just the cups. We've had already 8 European games that we didn't have last year. So, by its nature, of course, we've done well in the Cups, which is great, fantastic for us, but it has added to our fixture schedule. And like other clubs in our situation, which there aren't many, there's only a couple, if you've got injuries, that hampers you. So didn't bemoan last year, and I'm not saying too much this year. It's our situation, obviously, with our injury situation. It's made it a hell of a lot more challenging, but it is what it is. What it does mean is that we're still in 4 competitions at the moment, and I can only see that as a positive for us.
And finally, I do try and listen as carefully as I can.
Thank you.
So with a slight fear of trepidation with this question, going to Anfield with a 1-goal lead in a semi-final, it's halfway through, with massive prize at the end of it, of a final, do you slightly tweak your philosophy and maybe be a little bit more cautious? I know before you've told me you don't...
Well, it depends. Again, like it's whether you want to sort of pay attention. I mean, it depends what you think my philosophy is. I mean, my philosophy is to try and win games of football. So we're going to go try and win a game of football tomorrow night, which will get us to a final of a cup, which will be a great opportunity for us. But if people haven't understood sort of my philosophy after 26 years of management, then I don't think anything I say now is going to change any of that.
Hi, Ange. Just want to check on Mickey. Is it a fitness thing at this point, or is there any discomfort there still?
It's a bit of everything. He doesn't feel like he got through the game no problem, but we had a look at the sort of figures towards the physical, and it really wasn't more like he does a lot more training, and he got through it okay. But Premier League's a whole different beast, and I just, after losing Radu, I kind of sat down and thought about what we've got ahead of us still. Look, don't get me wrong, we've got a couple of massive games this week for sure. But we've also afforded ourselves a couple of weeks, hopefully, without midweek fixtures. And beyond that, Europe kicks in, which is massive for us. Hopefully we're in a final of a Carabao Cup. Hopefully we're still in the FA Cup. I just don't see the sense right now in risking that. Having Kevin in is a massive bonus for us. So no, he's not, and he hasn't re-injured the injury or anything like that. It's just that I just feel we need to get more into him. I think he feels he needs to get more into him. Same with Romero. So it'll just be a wait and see approach.
And with Matias Tell, there's some kind of talk back in Germany that maybe he wants to be more of a central striker going forward. Where do you envisage playing him the most in your system?
Oh, mate, Archie wanted to be a central midfielder, so who knows where Matias will end up. Look, he's got the attributes to play, I think, as a 9 for sure, but he's played wide really successfully as well. That's the beauty of him coming into us. At the moment, we're going to need him probably in all those areas because it's fair to say, as much as we've got issues at the back, probably got bigger issues in the front third at the moment. We're missing 3 wingers at our striker. I get people are still dismissing the fact that tomorrow night we're still going to have 9, maybe 10 first-team players out of our starting lineup. So having Matias who can play, both wide and central, Richie's doing a great for us at the moment. But again, he's coming off not playing for a while, and we've got to be really careful with him. Sonny's playing all the time. We've got Mikey as a 17-year-old. We've got Decky who can play in there. So having him who can play either side, I reckon in the short term, till we get some numbers back, I think he'll fill all 3 roles.
I just want to ask you quickly about Europa League squad, your decisions coming up for that. obviously too many players to fit in. You can make 3 changes. Have you decided yet?
I'm waiting for your article first, mate, and then once you've analysed it and assessed it, then I'll have a deep dive and try and come out with an outcome that sort of satisfies everyone. What we do know is we can make 3 changes. Obviously, Radu's going to be a logical one there, and the rest I think we've got a bit of time, and a lot of it will depend sort of between now and then on kind of who we can sort of get back, and hopefully we keep everyone healthy, and then we'll make our decisions.
George, please, at the back.
Cheers. Hi, Ange. I appreciate this is probably more a question for Johan or maybe Daniel, but in terms of Kevin Danso, he obviously wasn't involved in the European competition, and it feels like if you could have brought him in earlier, it would have made a difference, maybe against Everton or Leicester. Was there a reason why he couldn't come in until a few days before?
It's a process you need to go through. There are certain other things at play for us and for Kevin, to be honest. And as much as you try and sort of understand the pressing need, with all these things, there has to be agreement on 3 parties. We're not just the only ones involved. So for those 3 to get aligned and to happen really quickly, it's rare. I mean, I think we got sort of lucky with Tony because it was their off season and kind of we could work really quickly there. But most of the other deals sort of got done in the last week. Look, it would have been great to get in Kevin earlier, but I'm really pleased to get him in. He's a great guy already. He's kind of endeared himself to the group in terms of the kind of person he is. And, we still managed to sort of get a couple of key results, the last couple of days, last couple of games, which sort of really sort of helps our season. So now with him in there, that gives us a boost.
And it's obviously a big match, probably your biggest match as Spurs manager, and you've had plenty of big matches over your career. Do you kind of change anything when it comes to a game of this magnitude, or is everything kind of kept the same and as normal as possible?
No, I think, like I said before, I think you need to embrace the sort of the challenge in front of you. You can't just. It's very easy to say it's just going to be another game, but it's not, because everyone knows the consequences of it, both us and the opposition. You're playing away from home, and you kind of know that certainly their crowd will give them a great deal of energy, which we have to deal with. So they're all kind of, and it's a cup game, so there's a possibility of extra time, there's a possibility of penalties, all those things are factored into it. So your preparations and your information's a little bit different, and you want to make it into a big game because ultimately you need to be able to understand behaviour in big games and what it means and how you can sort of overcome the challenges of it. So it changes a little bit. The fundamentals of how we play won't change, but I think in terms of how we go about it will be a bit different.
And just finally for me, is the Man City away game a little bit of a blueprint because Man City started like a train, you had to kind of survive that period, then you got the goal and you could kind of really build into the game. I mean, in an ideal world, obviously that would happen tomorrow, 4-0 win.
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, I think the first game we played against Liverpool here was, because it was a tight game, and I think if you can always, limit sort of the ability of Liverpool to create a lot of chances, and we did on night, and we probably created the better chances. I thought, that's more of, and maybe it's slightly different away from home, but I felt that night we really controlled in our football. We pressed really well. I said we really denied them any sort of clear-cut opportunities, which is really difficult against them. And we're always a threat the other way. I think we obviously scored, but we had one with millimetres offside with Dom, and we missed a big chance with Pedro. So, I think that's more of sort of the blueprint we want to take into it, because Liverpool are obviously a different team to Man City. I mean, they're different to probably most other teams in the way particularly in the way they attack, and we're going to have to be on our game in certain aspects, but also understand that we have the capabilities of hurting them as well.
Okay, we'll end the broadcast section there. Move on to the Embargoed Section for 10:30 p.m. tonight. Dan.
Ange, we were sitting in here very, very different with Matias, but he is still 19. So I guess, do we have to kind of temper expectations a little bit with him, given his age?
What is it? Apples and oranges, or apples and? I mean, we're talking totally different worlds. I mean,
He's still 19.
Yeah, but he's played in the Bundesliga for, almost a season and a half. Yang came from the K-League, which is no disrespect to K-League, is a hell of a jump. I think in terms of the age, yeah, maybe you're right in terms of tempering, but we've got younger players in the team. It's not just about age. So we've got Archie and Lucas are 18, Mikey's 17. So I always kind of dismiss the age factor. To me, it's more about their maturity as a person and their experience. And, you can get two wildly different sort of beasts in terms of two 19-year-olds who maybe both have the capability of making it at this level, but in terms of where they are in their career, it could be miles apart. And I think Matias is a totally different sort of thing for us and our expectations around him. I would expect him to play significant part. He will play a significant part in our sort of end of season for sure and beyond. And I expect him. I know he wants to make an impact, and I'd be expecting him to do that.
You say beyond. There was sort of some confusion, I think, coming from Germany about the nature of his option. If the club decides to take that up, is your kind of understanding that he will be a Tottenham player next season?
He'll be a Tottenham player, mate.
He will.
Yeah, he'll be a Tottenham player. I think he'll show everyone he's going to be a Tottenham player in the next 6 months. So I didn't bring him here for 6 months.
Thank you.
And I'm intrigued by the powers of your persuasion. Do you have a special phone?
So your dealings with me over the last 18 months haven't convinced you of me having your powers? No, thank you, mate.
As a kind of smooth operator on the phone, I've obviously got it completely wrong.
Well, I think there's something to be said for honesty and integrity, and as much action speaking louder than words. I think I've got a pretty compelling story to tell, because I think when I speak to players, I'm not trying to sell anything that there isn't plenty of evidence for. So now I think most players, I think that's where they get sort of comfort more than anything else, because I don't think it's about smooth talking or about, like I said, selling or, I think there's a real good story here, which I really believe in, and I speak from a real sort of strong conviction that what I'm saying, it will come to fruition. I really believe that. So I don't think I need to sort of do anything special now. It doesn't always. I mean, you're hearing the success stories. There's plenty of people who it hasn't worked out. Yeah, plenty. There's been a couple this window. Yeah, which straight away there's a disconnect. It's not going to work, because what I'm saying and the questions they're asking, well, when we're on a different sort of page, and that's not a criticism there, because people look for different things. So you're looking for something that resonates. So yeah, that's right. Like I said, I definitely don't have a 100% hit rate. That's for sure. But I think that's part of it as well. I think, I kind of get comfort from that too when I walk away and I'm thinking, geez, he's a good player, but I don't think he's going to be a good fit. So it's probably not a good idea for him, and it's not a good idea for us. So it works out, either way.
Do you have these calls with all players, or is it in certain situations you get drafted in?
Yeah. I don't like having conversations unless I think there's a real sort of interest there from both sides. Like, I just don't want to. I think it ends up wasting my time, and unless we're really convinced about someone and we feel like there's some sort of interest coming the other way, then I'm not going to get involved. And I don't usually get involved until kind of everything else has sort of been sorted out around sort of financials and all that kind of stuff. Then I know, okay, well, this is kind of the final box we need to tick, and then they'll kind of wheel me out then.
Are you comfortable? Are you fully behind this idea that Spurs are building a team for the future? You're buying 19, 18, 21-year-olds. It doesn't normally fit with the short-termism of modern management. But have you had to be convinced, or?
No, I haven't been. I mean, I've been a sort of a big driver of it. I really feel like when I took over, that you need to rebuild a team, rebuild a squad. This wasn't tinkering around the edges. I've said that all along. So, and you need, if you're going to do that, invariably you've got to go young to allow them to grow and develop together. And we had some experience here, which has helped us obviously. And I think signing Dom was an important part of that. Kevin to a certain extent, because he's kind of a little bit more experienced. But that doesn't, again, that doesn't mean I'll see the fruits of that labour. You're right, that's the nature of it. But I've said from day one, I'll always make decisions that I believe are best for the football club and best for what I think is going to bring success to the football club. That's the way I've worked. And, from my perspective, all these decisions are, I'm as much a driver of as the club. I haven't no one's been thrusted upon me that I think, it's not someone who I think is going to fit.
You have no reassurances that there's not two sides to the coin, for example, that we're going this way, and that makes you a bit more secure because we all...
I'm not interested in security. I've said that before. It doesn't exist in the modern game, because it doesn't matter what anyone tells me. Somebody could say to me, "Oh, Ange, we're right behind you," and then, I've lost him, so I'm down to Ali, and that's about it, and you're okay? You're solid? Yeah. I've got a couple. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I just got to get you on the phone. I know that's not the real world. Ultimately, the real world exists around, well, if I keep getting results, then I'll be okay. If I'm not, then the invariable pressure that's been on me for the last, feels like 3-4 months will still be there. And there's no guarantees about anything. So I don't worry about that. I don't care about that. I've said before, being a manager, especially in today's world, it can be so, you can feel so isolated, so vulnerable. I don't feel that. I feel like the playing group is rock solid, the staff are rock solid. I feel supported. That's all you can ask for. Where that takes us, time will tell. I firmly believe it'll take us to success, but there's no guarantees of that. I understand that.
Just if I may, one more on youthfulness. You do talk about Anfield and what you expect. Galatasaray, Ibrox, Everton even, you didn't start well in any of them games when you were hot. Is that inexperienced youthfulness something that teams have to grow?
No, it is part of the experience. I thought we handled, I know people say it differently, but we handled sort of Old Trafford pretty well, which I think is also pretty intimidating. It can be pretty intimidating. So I think we've had our moments at times, but I think those kind of things have allowed us to grow for sure. Those kind of experiences, especially some of our younger players, because. For a lot of them, they're still first. Like, for a lot of them, it's going to be first at Anfield tomorrow night. People kind of dismiss the fact that it is such a young group that a lot of them are doing things for the first time that all you guys have kind of experienced in multiple events. So, but I see that as a positive. The more we expose them, the more we put them in these situations. The greater the growth will come from the group when we're further down the track. So, but I don't think. I think. From what I've seen of the group and what they've had to handle over the last sort of 2 months, I don't think the atmosphere or sort of the conditions around the event are going to overwhelm them at all. I think they're ready for it.
Tom. And I know, Ange, what can a victory at Anfield, given how imperious Liverpool have been this season, do to the context of this season, as a confidence booster to all these young players? Whole narrative around Tottenham this season?
Oh, look, there's no hiding it. It would be massive because, like I said, it's not. We've obviously had to beat both Manchester clubs to get to this point. We've had to beat Liverpool in the first leg to be in this position now. So, we get to a final. It's going to be hard earned, and like I said, going to Anfield, the way they're going this year, they've been an unbelievable team. They're so consistent. They're the most sort of settled, injury-free team in the whole league. I think apart from us, they're the only ones sort of in all the competitions, still having a crack in all the competitions. So, all those ingredients, if we can manage to overcome that and get to a final, I think it'd be massive for where we're at, massive for our future, and I'm sure it'll accelerate the growth of our players and the belief in what we're trying to do. So, you know, in that context, it's a massive night for us. But I think we've earned the right to be in this position, even though it's been a real difficult season for us. So, you know, I think we've earned the right to be in a position where we can make a big impact.
Matias seems he's going to be a long-term player at Tottenham. I mean, Harry Kane's talked about him, Thierry Henry, glowing words, Julian Nagelsmann, there's loads of quotes about what a great player he is. Can you just give us a sense of what an exciting, you know, global talent you've managed to acquire?
Yeah, I mean, you know, obviously my opinion is worthless when you're talking about all these other guys. So their opinion weighs far greater. But that's the reason I've signed him. You know, I think he is. Look, I think he's very, very exciting. I think when you meet him, you realise he's got that bit about him as a person who, like I said, enormous. Even though he's young, self-belief and confidence in what he can do and what he wants to do. Even though he's young physically, he's already sort of, you know, in a place where he can take on, you know, the enormous challenges of being an attacking player in you know, the Bundesliga, and I think he can handle the Premier League. I think he's a goal scorer. He can take people on. He's got speed. Look, he is exciting. I'd be very surprised if there was a club that wouldn't be interested in somebody like him. So. Like I said, us being able to acquire, irrespective of the situation we're in, just us being able to get him in, the circumstances behind, I think is fantastic for the football club.
And just finally, I remember when Richarlison was injured, there was a point you said, guys, just stop asking about it for a while, because it's going to be a while. With Mickey and particularly Christian, are we in that territory at all, or is it completely different? I mean, because it feels like it drags on.
Yeah, it probably does. It's probably why, you know, I probably get asked about it sort of on a weekly basis, and I don't understand it. They're two significant players, but you know, I think whenever a player sort of is out for a sort of significant amount of time and gets re-injured, then I think you kind of err on the side of being cautious. Now, you know, we could take risks with both of them for sure, and I think, you know, football's funny. They may be able to get through. Who knows? I mean, but the fact that there is a risk there, and with everything that we're sort of dealing with at the moment, I don't see the sense in us sort of pushing that through. You know, I mean, they're different cases, of course, but they're both just so valuable to us that I guess the one thing I'm looking at is when we bring them back, I want them to stay back. I don't want them to have another setback, because we can't afford to have another player in that position having a setback after losing Radu now. So, and I think what we've done with Richie has worked really well for us this time. I mean, the first time he came back, sort of got re-injured. He's playing more than I want him to at the moment, which is not great, but he looks strong. He feels a lot better. Like, he was convinced when he came back that he was ready to go. I guess I need to get to that space with Mickey and Christian where they feel like look, I'm ready for the Premier League and whatever else we need to tackle.
Hamza.
You just mentioned Liverpool having a pretty much injury-free squad a month ago, and them also being in all the cups. Is there anything that you look to what they're doing differently? Their club says that they've been a bit lucky, and also they're trying to adjust how they train. Is there anything that you're thinking of doing differently, or have been doing differently with your team this one?
Look, I think I said last week we're looking at a whole range of things. I think for us, you know, it's really hard to sort of investigate on the run, and I think that's where you kind of you may make decisions that come back that, you know, weren't exactly well reasoned out. I've got a couple of ideas, and I think ours probably stems back, like I said before, the pre-season. I think we had a lot of players who probably didn't get the break they needed, and we started the season. We're obviously really bullish about how we wanted to go this year and wanted to tackle everything, and we probably weren't ready for that, and we paid the price for that. And we have been unlucky as well, because, you know, not all injuries have been sort of muscle injuries. You know, Vicario, which was a big loss for us, and obviously Radu, and, you know, even had things like Bentancur being suspended for 7 games, which again, you know, did the wrong thing. We have to take the punishment, but the time it happened, we were kind of short of players. So there's a whole range of things that kind of ended up being a perfect storm for us. But we'll certainly look at the way we do things. I know people kind of look at our training, but I guarantee you we have hardly trained for the last 4 months. I've said before, all of you could have done our training. Like, we've been playing games. It's got nothing to do with our training. We're kind of looking at our processes, and certainly it's not a situation we want to be in again. But I think the wiser thing to do is to kind of stay calm and investigate it properly and make sure we make the best decisions moving forward.
And how does that process work with you and the sports science team? I was watching a seminar you gave like 5 years ago, and you pretty much mentioned that you like to let your teams do what they need to do, and you just sort of oversee. How does that work when?
Yeah, look, I really believe in that. I think, as much as I've been in the game for a long time, and that's not my area of expertise. You want to employ the best people with the best knowledge, and allow them to do what they feel is best. But it all has to correlate to one sort of central idea, is that how we want to play. So it all feeds from there, but I don't sit over their shoulders and tell them what to do. I think it's important that people are empowered, because that's how you get the best out of them. They have the knowledge, they have the expertise, and my role within that is to kind of guide and make sure we don't move away from the basic core principle of the way we want to play our football.
Last couple, Jacob mentioned
about bursts that the youngsters are going to experience over the next couple of weeks. At the other end of the spectrum, you've got Son, it's coming up to 10 years, the Enquiries, it's not much trophy, but he looked really sharp in the last couple of games. Do you sense a different kind of determination in him, and he's gearing up to what could be for him just a special night?
Yeah, look, Sonny's been outstanding for us. I mean, I think, again, I've said before with Sonny, like, the extremes we've had to put on him this year is just, it'd be tough for anyone to sort of carry the load he has, both from a physical perspective, a mental perspective. I think he was unbelievable against Brentford on the weekend, but that's because he only played 45 minutes on Thursday night. Now, we haven't been able to do that. We've had to, if we had the opportunity to give him the rest he needs to be at his best, I think you would have seen him. But we're certainly at this stage of the season. I think he's really got a real clear focus in his eye that he senses an opportunity for us as a football club, not just for himself to have success this year. And I think him and I think Ben Davies has been another one who really stepped up in recent times. Two guys who've been at this club for a long time and understand what success will do for this football club, not just for them personally, which I think should be a driver, because I think Sonny, for the kind of everything he's done for the football club, I think it would be more than fitting for him to get some trophies to sort of add to his already sort of status at this football club. I think both of them realise what it means for the club, more importantly, and he's going to be, he has been, but he's going to be a big sort of part of us, hopefully, having success.
So just by the nature of it, both the two that you mentioned, they've experienced disappointment in some of these big games with Tottenham. Is that at all a mental hindrance for them, or does it tell them, give them a bit of an advantage that they know probably what not to do?
All these things, experiences, I think it depends how you kind of use them. They give you perspective, they give you understanding, they give you learnings. You can be at both ends of the spectrum, where you've tried and you've failed, but that's allowed you to grow, or you can be at the other end of the spectrum where you've never failed and you don't know what that looks like, so you just go sort of blindly into anything you're doing. So it's a balance of both. I don't sense with Sonny in particular, but even with Ben, there's any burden on them, or they feel like, we're going to fall short, or there's something missing. I think they're as optimistic as anyone, and for the other guys, like I said, that whatever this club's been through in the last sort of 14, 15 years trying to get a trophy, they're not been part of it, so they don't need to feel burdened by that. They can just go out there and try and change that.
Neil, to finish, please.
Right, yeah, to finish, one more phone question to finish. The red flags.
Do you want to phone it in and get my phone voice? Okay.
Are the red flags when you speak to players about that? And can you think of any examples? Feel free to give names where it's gone tits up.
Away from my book, mate. No, there are red flags. There are because, and like I said, it's because I'm 59 years old and I spoke about knowledge before, but with age comes wisdom, which is much more powerful than knowledge. You know, so you get a sense of these things. You get a sense of people. I think I'm a pretty good judge of a person. Not in a, to contextualise that, not bad or good person. Is it a person that's going to fit what I'm trying to do here? That's the main thing for me, because there are fantastic footballers, fantastic people that may be not a good fit. I'm not the right kind of manager for them. You've got to accept that. It's not a judgment call on them in terms of a value base. It's whether does their personality, does their character, where they are in their career, what kind of questions are they asking. I've said before, if you get a sense by what they say as to where they're at in their careers, and you go, okay, well that marries up with what we're trying to do here, and so there are sort of red flags, and I think it's important that there are, because the last thing I want to do is bring a player here who's not going to fit, because it's not good for me and it's not good for the player either. They've got a big decision to make and they need to know what they're walking into. So I try and paint as clear a picture as possible of what you're coming into. So, and there's been times, again, I won't know names, where players have gone, actually, that's not for me. And I respect that, I'd rather that than sort of, like I said, we all agree and everyone's happy. And the worst thing you can do is say, well, geez, I've got a great contract, great money, and you come in here and you're not happy, because then you realise that that's not the important bit.
Just last week, how long did you speak to Tell, and how long did it take you to realise,
Oh, look, it was a sort of exchange that lasted sort of conversation, messages over a couple of hours, and I felt if I kept him on the phone long enough, I'd wear him down, and he was falling asleep at the end, I think. So I got a sense pretty early on that there was a connection there, and he was hearing what he wanted to hear. Like I said, it's a big decision. He's a 19-year-old man at a fantastic football club. They would be quite happy to sort of keep him there, I'm sure. But he also knew that he needs to play. But not just play, where he's going to develop, and I think it's a credit to him, then rather than just sort of jump at whatever came to him, he was really thorough in the way he made his decision.
Thanks, guys.